Hello everyone, my name is Sandra Beaulieu and I would like to share with you the 7 phases that I use to create a musical freestyle. I know there's a lot of people out there that want to go to a competition and dream about writing to music at a show. But it's a lot of work, it's kind of overwhelming, and I know what it feels like because I create my own freestyles as well. And there's not a lot of information out there to help you go through the process. I noticed a lot of my students just really wanted to be able to write a freestyle, but they never were quite getting themselves down that center line, and it's expensive to hire a custom designer. So I decided to start writing an ebook series, and I have a couple books, that shows you how to put together a freestyle and also does sort of pre-made choreography to help you finish the choreography piece of it, because that can get people really stuck as well. Okay, so today I'd just like to review the 7 steps so that you can kind of get your mind wrapped around the whole process. Okay, so we're gonna start with phase 1, which is to plan and prepare. So what does that mean? So plan and prepare is make sure pick a show, give yourself some time, make sure if you've never done this before and you don't have help, give yourself a couple months at least, okay? Because where you're gonna get stuck is later on down in number 6 or 7, you'll see. So plan and prepare also is to make sure that you have everything that you need. Like you're gonna want smartphone apps, you're gonna wanna print out your tests, you're gonna wanna join some Facebook groups, which I have a group that's created Dressage Freestyle, so you can kind of get ideas, ask questions, and do your thing, okay? And so number 2, we're gonna go through this fairly quickly because I know you don't have a lot of time. Rules and requirements. Okay, you want to make sure that you're really familiar with the rules of freestyle, because when you go to show, you don't want your entrance to be too long, you don't want it to get disqualified because you're missing movements, and knowing what does copyright mean of the music and how to put together and present your freestyle and not break the rules. What kind of qualifying scores do you need to go to a show? What's the difference between a schooling show and a recognized show? So there's a lot of different things that kind of I go through, and then I can answer questions if you have any about what are the rules and requirements for freestyle. Okay, number 3, you're gonna gather information, gather info. And this means you're going to gather info on your horse, which would be the beats per minute of your horse's gaits, and also gather the information about the level that you want to show. So say you're riding first level, you want to know what are the required movements, what's allowed, what's not allowed. Okay, and finding your horse's beats per minute is very important to get the tempo correct for the music, so that way when you're riding your freestyle at the show, the judge really can see that you kind of know what you're doing, okay? So that's the basis of helping you find your music. Also, what I've done in my ebook that I have is a creative kind of questionnaire that takes you through and asks you lots of different questions so that you can figure out your strengths of your horse, weaknesses, what do you want to highlight, what do you want to downplay, especially for your music and choreography and your overall presentation. Okay, then we have number 4 is going to be discover your music. Okay, so this part usually isn't that difficult for people. There's music everywhere. I use, iTunes and Spotify to find new music. You can save playlists. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with music now, and just going through old soundtracks and movies, and there's so many covers of different songs. So it can be a little overwhelming. So you want to make sure you have your horse's beats per minute first, so that when you go to listen to music that you like, you want to be able to quickly check, is this going to match my horse or not? Because in your head it might be really good, but then when you ride your horse, not so much, and you're not quite sure why. It doesn't really feel in sync. You might listen to something that has the right beat that you never thought of before, and you're like, oh, okay, this feels really good. But there's also, I have on my website, on my blog, and in my ebook, a lot of resources for pre-made music. So if you really don't want to pick and edit music for your freestyle, but maybe you just want to do choreography, then there are a lot of resources online that you can actually buy pre-made music for a whole freestyle, especially if you're a little quick on a budget. Okay, so I have resources for that as well. Okay, number 5 is choreography. which I love doing choreography. That's actually my favorite part. And I have books for each level. I just have training through second at the moment, but you know, pre-made full tests, 10 per level, and showing all of the movements and different varieties of center lines and things that you can do for choreography, because sometimes, you know, you can get really stuck doing that. So if you don't like doing choreography, I have a lot of resources for you. If you like doing choreography, there's a couple different ways you can do it as far as like timing your movements and mapping it out, or you can, you know, play horses on foot and run around and make your freestyle. I've done that a lot too, especially when I was younger. It's good exercise. So, and then also just creating routine and riding with your horse, videoing it, watching it back, playing music. You're gonna go through the choreography many different times. Usually per rider, I've got about probably at least 3 or 4 changes in the choreography. You might flip it around and change and go from the other direction. You want to end up on one lead versus the other, or maybe the music just doesn't edit quite right. You're going to flip it around. Okay, number 6 is going to be edit, edit, edit. Definitely this is the longest one, is doing all of your edits. You know, and it's very overwhelming if you don't know how to use music editing software. I personally am just using GarageBand right now. I've used some kind of fancier stuff in the past, but I changed over to I got an Apple laptop, and I was gonna get something fancier, but GarageBand has been fine. I really like using it, and I would like to do some little tutorial videos for you guys as well. But I have some saved on my YouTube channel that other people have done that I can give you the link to, so you can go and watch how to upload your music, how to crop it, how to fade it. You know, you can keep it pretty simple. If the beats already match your horse, you're basically just gonna be doing simple, you know, cross fading and chopping and stuff like that. And you know, I want to let people know that your freestyle does not have to be perfect. You know, I just want to see people go down the center line and do it, you know, because you got to get in there at least once, see what it's like, get feedback from the judge, and then you're just going to keep redoing it. You redo it every time you go in. It's going to be a little bit different. Sometimes it'll be better than others. You might be ahead of your music. You might be behind your music. There's so many things that are going to happen. But it's so much fun. Like, really, like the finished product, you get in there and you ride to your music, and it's much more fun than riding a dressage test. So I just want to really help people get out there and do it. It does not have to be perfectly primo, amazing. You know, of course, it's not going to be great if you don't put a lot of time into it, but it's better to at least get in there and do it, even if maybe your edits aren't that good, or, you know, maybe your choreography is really simple. But, you know, that's okay. At least you're getting in there and trying it. Now, the editing phase is going to take the longest. You know, sometimes I always label my edits. Like, every time I change the music, I label it so I can keep track. And I usually get up to like 9 or 10, you know, doing like tweaking here and there and moving music around and making it a little longer, making it a little shorter. Every time you're going to record yourself, ride the freestyle, put the music over it. So you want to be able to use simple like iMovie. So iMovie and GarageBand and iTunes all kind of work together really well to kind of sync up your freestyle. And they're usually available to most anybody. So that part is going to take the longest and probably be the most frustrating of all of them, because you can't get through it that quickly. But you're almost towards the end, so you'll have some momentum to get going. So the end is going to be go to a show. So, you know, I recommend, like, if you're planning to go to a recognized show and you have your qualifying score and all that, that's great. But sometimes it's nice to just go to a schooling show and just kind of do it once and, like, make sure that everything's working correctly. But on the flip side, going to a schooling show, sometimes the sound systems are terrible. So it might actually sound better at a recognized show. And also make sure you ask the show management what kind of, you know, software they're using, or if they need it on a CD, or if they're going to have it on a thumb drive. Playing it from your phone or a thumb drive and digitally is so much better than CDs, but some of the shows still do CDs, and no matter what you do, if they don't have a good sound system, something might not sound good. So it's just always good to call ahead, double check, make sure you always do your sound check and listen all the way through, at least speed through it, because if there's going to be spots like maybe you didn't change the levels and then there's like a dead spot in your music and you don't know because you didn't really listen to it. So there's so many different things to check, but it's all a learning curve, and I'll try to make sure I help you guys from start to finish to do all this. Now, also at the end, Yeah, okay, so going through like what to do at a show, you know, all of the different things, I kind of go through that in my book. Talking about my ebook as well, like you can go to my website, beginthedance.com, and right in the top bar you'll see it'll say free downloads for musical freestyle. I have these really handy choreography sheets where you can put your horse's name, and you can color code it if you want to. Each diagram has the quarter lines on it and has a little space for notes. You can print out as many as you want, makes it a lot easier for choreography. And you'll also get my musical freestyle checklist, which you can just, you know, keep track of what your horse's beats per minute are, what your music is, and keep track of that for your whole process. So I hope that helps. I know this is just an overview. I'm not necessarily teaching you how to do freestyle, but I'll break it down. I'll make some smaller videos that are easier to watch. I just wanted to kind of let you see what the process is so that if you did get my ebook, you'll know kind of what you're getting, or you can at least just ask some questions and join the Facebook group. Okay, thank you so much for watching.